We missed you, you little rascal. We are all with Lucho Diaz. He will never walk alone. That is right. That is right. Do you know what? I'll touch on the Diaz topic because I feel like that's the one topic that I want to get out the way, purely on the premise that it's not a nice topic to talk about, and the last thing I want to be doing is trying to improve view retention on talking about a topic that I'm not quite clued up on, and it seems like a lot of people aren't, even the people who are doing the reports on this. And what I mean by that is that there was, I believe, a false report made by the Daily Mirror or someone along those lines about how Diaz's father was found. Turns out that weren't true. There's other reports that are saying that he's been or that he's made it to Venezuela, which if it is true, that's quite concerning, because you think about Venezuela, the policing situation there is very minimal. It's not the best known place for policing, therefore leaving more room for corruption, which means if he has gotten there, that's another worrying sign. But we do know that at this point, his mother was returned safely quite soon after the kidnapping, and his dad was held for ransom to Luis Diaz, I assume, for an exchange of an amount of money, I would assume, to return his dad safely. Now, the police in Colombia are also on this, and there's people in Colombia supporting Luis Diaz through these times. But how much public support can you get to make this situation better? There's none. Of course, it's amazing that everyone's come together, but the fact that these people have decided to do this and to, do this to a Colombian hero, it shows that, sentimentalism does not matter. And it all matters about greed. It all matters about selfishness. And, a lot of people talk about how in South America there can be these instances and there can be these kidnappings and stuff like that, but the fact that his mum and his dad was just at a petrol station, and next thing you know, there's this big story going on. It just goes to show that no matter where you are in the world, there's unsafety, or should I say, there's unsafe things that can go down. And in Colombia, that seems to be one of the things that it's just devastating to hear, that not only does it impact other people, but now it's also impacted even somebody like Luis Diaz, therefore showing it can happen to anybody. So that seems to be the update up to this point. So there's not really much more to report, except that his dad still hasn't been found and that it's still a worrying situation. And day by day, each day that goes by, it is going to grow concern. It is going to grow worry. And also, I'm going to say to sort of end this topic is that give Luis Diaz all the time that he needs. You do not approach this situation the way you look at somebody who's been injured. So when everyone fumes about Naby Keita being unavailable, that's completely different to how this has been. I even saw a Liverpool fan, supposedly Liverpool fan, someone who represents themselves as a Liverpool fan, talking about how, even though he's going through a tough time, he's got to be brave and still fulfill his job. Why are we paying his wages? And the reading of that comment made me sick to my stomach. The fact that somebody who self-identifies themselves as a Liverpool fan is prioritising stuff like football, something as bullshit as football, above matters like these. And for me, if he doesn't play for months because of this instance, I completely understand. As one, we don't know the conclusion of the result, but let's say it's best case scenario. Let's say his dad comes back. You don't think it's out of the realm of possibility he'd want to spend some time with his family for a couple of weeks and take a step out of football and maybe think of new approaches to move them to a safer area or move them to a different country? I'm not too sure. Even people, I saw other tweets saying, going at Luis Diaz, saying, oh, why didn't he have them moved out of that area? And it makes you think, like, well, Luis Diaz can't move everybody out. And also, what if the parents wanted to stay? There's a lot of instances where parents would prefer to stay where they come from. There's a lot of players who, immigrate to Europe and then the parents will go and stay wherever they came from. And that's very, very normal. You don't want to leave your culture. You don't want to leave the rest of your family, even if your son or daughter is making millions and they can move you out. So it's not as easy as just saying, hindsight is always 2020. Oh, you could have moved them to a safer area. For me, it's a case of, listen, that was their home. They went to a place that they were safe, or they felt they were safe, and they got caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. A very, very horrible instance as well. One that shouldn't happen, and one that we hope the policing situation will solve, all in due course. But people need to be considerate. People need to be kind to this situation, and people need to be understanding, quite frankly. Otherwise, you're just being obnoxious. It's as simple as that. Big up to Sam. He says it's obviously mental, not trying to offend anyone, but South America and Colombia need to update their laws on crime like this always happens. It's about investment into the criminal system, isn't it? It's about investment into the policing. It's about investment, making sure things like this don't happen. Things like this will still happen, no matter how much money you invest into policing. But it's still very concerning for sure. And if the reports are true about Luis Diaz's dad, approaching Venezuela, that's even more concerning because of the things that can go on there. And, people have been talking about the cartel and stuff like that over the past few days, haven't they? And again, that's an area of conversation that I'm a little bit less wary of. But it's one of those areas of conversations where you've still got to talk about it because you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes and who's pulling the strings behind this matter. Kidnappings are not rare, sadly, in South American countries. What the fuck? I was even worried about the rest of the squad as it impacts on the whole team as they are very close. I was thinking, how do you hear that type of news the night before and then the next day you still go and play a game of football? And listen, it's a testament to the players who went on and still performed and done the job. And it was amazing that amidst the great performance, then amidst the tough situation, they could still show the consideration and the condolences to Luis Diaz by lifting up the shirt and just showing, like, listen, we're with you. No matter what, even when we're playing, we're thinking about you. Even when the fans are supporting, we're thinking about you. And for whatever that means, it doesn't bring anybody back. But what it does do is just show, like, listen, we're by your side and you're not alone in this situation, which is always a positive. Big up to Michael. He says, not to sound too cynical, but it's kind of surprising stuff like this doesn't happen more often, given the relatively impoverished countries some top players come from. It's a very rare instance for sure. And chat, can you name any other examples of situations that have been similar to this one where people's family members have been kidnapped? You see loads of stories about how footballers' houses are broken into. That even happens in the UK. That's not just a South American thing. You can see instances. Was there a goalkeeper not too long ago who got held captive inside of his own home? Paul Pogba had that weird situation with his brother as well. So there is definitely weird instances that happen. But based on one like this is very, very unusual. But you're right, though. Like, for instance, this gentleman here talking about how it's not a rare occurrence. That's right. It's just not something you usually see with big footballers. And that's probably because footballers' parents are usually more protected, in more safer environments. I don't know. But it's not nice, however way you try and paint it out, is it? You know what I'm saying? Big up to Shiranath. Hello, sir. Hey, James. Sorry I couldn't tune in regularly. You are way too mature for your age. I don't agree. I think I'm very immature at times. But I do try and be as balanced as possible on situations like this. And listen, I think even a prick can say that this is a very evil thing that's happening to Luis Diaz right now. South American players generally pay the head cartel to keep their families safe. Well, this is the thing, isn't it? So, I don't know how true or not true this statement is, but I do understand the cartel have a big part to play in areas in South America. And you're thinking, well, how much of this is to do with them or how much of this is them trying to solve the situation? And that's where I get uneducated. So you guys might be able to tell me more than what I already know. There we go. There's another example. Di Maria's family kidnapped and had to get subbed off. There we go. There's been instances like that where, people during a game, maybe their family's being attacked while they're in the game, and then next thing you know, they've got to leave the game or they've got to go straight away. I think I remember that, actually. So, no, that's a great point. But this is the overall conclusion from Nelly. We pray for Luis Diaz's family, whether you're a Christian, Muslim, atheist, I don't care. You've got to send your best wishes. You've got to have your best hopes. If you believe in manifestation and all that, manifest good times only, manifest safety. I don't know what you believe in, but just make sure that you do.